How's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to talk about banned vehicles. But don't worry, because this move away from big diesel, big gas guzzling vehicles could actually make you a lot of money. The reason why California is actually very important, love it or hate it, is because they actually have kind of a deal with the Federal Clean Air Act. The EPA has granted California a waiver from a restriction. So the Federal Clean Air Act prohibits states from setting their own emissions. But there's actually a provision in the act that authorizes the EPA to grant California a waiver from that restriction. Now, this creates kind of a bit of a loophole, not only for California, but for other states. The reason why is because other states can go along with California's standards, essentially, and avoid regulation and avoid any kind of EPA review. So let's start with this new ban in California. So this new ban in California went into effect on New Year's Day, 2023. Okay, it was part of a clean air regulation, part of the California Air Resources Board that, get this, passed like 15 years ago, back when Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor. According to estimates, the law will prohibit about 10% of commercial motor vehicles currently operating in the state. They can't drive at all in the state. The rule applies to diesel vehicles that weigh at least 14,000 pounds. Air Resources Board said there's an estimated 200,000 vehicles that have yet to comply with this new rule. The board argues that the new engines are better at filtering out harmful particulate matter. Well, of course, right? Newer vehicles, parts are less worn out. They will naturally pollute less. Now, when the law was actually passed back in 2008, it was to reduce the community exposure to toxic air contaminants. It was 100% designed to protect public health, according to the spokesperson for the Air Resources Board. So what does this mean? Well, it means that the DMV in California will not register any vehicle that was made before 2010. Here's the crazy part. This law also applies, get this, to vehicles that are coming in from other states, which is insane, actually. I think that's a little nuts because they're registered, let's say, in Nevada, but they can't drive legally. They can't drive in California. So products and goods will need to be transported to, I guess, a newer vehicle that meets these requirements. So again, this is all part of California's plan to reduce carbon emissions, etc. But it also applies to vehicles that are registered in other states. It could be in a neighboring state. What does this do to prices? Well, they go all the way up. That's what it does. But again, don't sweat it, because conjure up ways to use these new rules, let's say, and come out winning. Make money. Make money from it. So the Air Resources Board said also has law enforcement units. It's going to audit fleets, do inspections, issue citations, of course, and it's also working with the federal EPA to help enforce the rule for vehicles coming in from other states. That's I think that's a little unfair. Apparently, if you drive less than 1,000 miles per year, there is an exemption, like low use exemption. You have a commercial vehicle driving that low of miles, it seems unrealistic. Obviously, the law makes things more difficult for any trucker or any commercial business, right, that's looking to operate with all these supply chain problems. The thing that is noted that is pretty interesting is a commercial trucking association, right? They said that California trucker businesses, essentially, that use commercial vehicles would have to buy up 100% of the used market in all of the United States just to comply with the new rules, which of course is impossible. Pretty crazy. So obviously in these economic times, it's a little rough for them to go out and buy a big rig, a commercial vehicle that costs like $100,000, $200,000, or even take out a loan with very nice high interest rates. So a lot of them would go bankrupt. So this is really big problem. It's a problem for the consumers. Obviously, it's a problem for the business owners, but for the consumer, it's a huge problem because, of course, California, costs of living in California are astronomical compared to some of the neighboring states, and their taxes are extremely high. So this creates a bigger problem for the consumer. More spending, more. It's always more. Here is the website for the California Air Resources Board. So check it out if you want to. This is the official .ca.gov website. Pretty interesting. One thing that I find very odd about the website is here it says that diesel exhaust is responsible for 70% of cancer risk from airborne toxin. Who's sitting there sniffing exhaust? So that's pretty bizarre. Anyway. Now, where it gets tricky is that states like Colorado, like Washington, like Oregon, a lot of times they follow in the lead that California puts out. And this could create, basically, this will exacerbate the problem of things costing more, because guess what? They cost more to deliver. That's a major problem, especially when people are already hurting. Ugh. But again, don't sweat it, because there's hope, okay? And the hope is that you need to basically conjure up ways to use these new rules, let's say, and come out winning, make money from it. And at the moment, there's only one sure as hell bet where you can make money using the zero emissions goal set forth by California. How can you make money from this? Well, the reality is that EVs need lithium, and lithium has exploded. It basically doubled last year, and it's only set to go even higher, as California, for example, even some of their power grids, their grids are using lithium powered batteries to actually store energy that's captured via renewables or any source. The energy has to be stored somewhere and delivered when it's needed. Guess what? They're starting to use lithium operated battery station as part of the power grid to store this energy and then deliver it. And then what? Of course, EVs all over the place. Bluetooth, anything Bluetooth uses the same lithium ion batteries. Laptops, phone. So this is just ripe for explosion. It's going to be astronomical. I'll make a more in-depth video about that later. They're basically disruptive materials that essentially are a must. They're just a must. And the United States is very much dependent at the moment on imports of this stuff. So it's very important. Don't sweat the bans. Make sure you're in the right position to, of course, take advantage of this stuff. If you're making some money with lithium, then you can afford $10 a gallon for your gas guzzler. Of course, car bans are coming. Diesel trucks ban is coming. So California is really, really pushing. Get rid of big trucks, diesel trucks, gas-powered cars, brand new ones at least. One can use this to their advantage. So it's great to be ahead of the curve right now, and I would say would be a sound investment. So lithium not only is it used for rechargeable batteries, of course, but it's got other massively important uses. Before the EV and lithium ion batteries transformed the demand for lithium, the metal actually was used for ceramics and glass, right? It's pretty interesting. 31% of consumption of lithium was used for that. Now that's huge. Lubricating greases, 10%. Air treatment, continuous casting, and variety of other uses. So lithium, it's poised to come out a massive winner, just like right now, or just like last year. The oil companies, they came out winning like crazy for 2022, despite the S&P 500 being completely in the gutter, tech being completely in the gutter. So oil, energy, massive wins. And lithium could be in the position to take over some of those gains in the future. So it's pretty big and pretty important stuff. Again, love it or hate it. It's just the way it is. So might as well position oneself, right, accordingly, and we'll see what happens. For example, let's check out the US stock best and worst performing sectors 2022 last year. Right here, S&P 500 negative 20%, basically. Worst year for the US stock market since 2008 financial crisis. That's massive, massive. Big winners, ExxonMobil up 80%. 80%. So all across energy, they made massive, massive gains. Now what's interesting is medical distribution. That was also a big winner, up 50%. And of course, drug manufacturers, well, they always win, right? Insurance. Now that one's interesting. Insurance, they jacked up their prices, supposedly to deal with inflation, but they came out winning as well. Aerospace and defense. Now defense, well, where's that coming from? All the money going to Ukraine. Guess what? They have to rack up basically spending on defense. The military contractors, they're basically winning billions and billions. So they're coming out ahead, up 41% for Northrop and Grumman. And look at the tech sector, all red, basically all red except for IBM, all red. So energy wins. So we will see what happens. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Smash the like if you haven't. Please do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.